Hi, everybody. Darren Lynch here, founder and CEO of Irish Titan, bringing you yet another whiskey shot. And today we have Clete Werts from TaxJar with us. Hi there, Clete. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. Give us a little bit of a rundown on TaxJar and any other setup information that you think would be helpful for the audience.
Sure. So I've been with TaxJar for 4 years. TaxJar has been in business for, I think it's over 8 years now. We do one thing, and that's sales tax. So it's not sexy, but we try to do a really good job of helping businesses and organizations manage that today. So I've been selling sales tax for 10 years. I didn't grow up wanting to sell sales tax for 10 years. But here I am.
You mean that wasn't your dream out playing in the backyard?
Right. Yeah, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, but I've settled with tax, and I'm very happy. I love it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I want to be a professional baseball player. If that doesn't work out, I think I'm going to go into tax.
That's right. That's right. It's a 50-50.
Right. Yeah. Well, you stole one of the lines I was going to sort of amusingly use to ease us into the conversation, that we're going to cover the sexiest topic in e-commerce. There's nothing sexier than tax, right?
True.
But I think that when you talk about tax, and especially when you talk about it the right way and some of the right topics, it actually is pretty interesting because there's a lot of change going on in tax, and nobody likes tax, but we all know begrudgingly, right, that we have to adhere to, we have to comply to, we have to manage our risk. So I think that there's been a couple of things that have been milestones and leading us to where we are today with tax as it relates to e-commerce. And Wayfair, the Wayfair decision was one. And then the COVID pandemic, I think, has been another one because of the creation of employees anywhere, and the explosion of e-commerce with states wanting to get a cut of some of that tax revenue. So a big, broad preamble there, and now a big, broad question. Give us just a little bit of the lay of the land with where we stand today with tax as it relates to e-commerce.
Well, I think you hit the two really important pieces since I've been involved in tax. Is one, Wayfair, game changer from a sales tax perspective, right? Because before Wayfair, businesses only had to worry about, hey, where do I have a physical presence in the state, right? Pretty straightforward. Companies typically knew that. Wayfair came and says, now introduce this whole concept of economic nexus, right? Based on revenue and transactions. Well, now, so, that couple of years go by, and then now COVID hits, and essentially what it's done is accelerated that e-commerce buying motion, right? And so what that's done is now businesses, it's putting gasoline on economic nexus. And it's like, wait a minute, where are our sales? Where are our transactions? But then from a business perspective, TaxJar actually was one of the few businesses prior to COVID that we were built as a remote company. Most businesses weren't, right? And it was kind of a differentiator for us. But now it's very common.
Right.
But the implications that has on businesses and their compliance is huge.
Right.
So now you can hire anybody anywhere, which is great because businesses can hire the talent that fits their business and needs, and the flexibility is enormous. But now every time when you hire somebody in a state, you now have Nexus, right? You have a physical presence. So now tracking that becomes, and your breadth of sales tax compliance increases dramatically.
Right. Yeah. And it's not fun, but we have to do it. Right. And so I think that one thing that people find helpful is a description in real words, how tax works today from an e-commerce perspective. Okay. So if I'm a merchant and I'm selling product, what qualifies as states in which I have to pay Nexus based on my customers first? Let's start from that perspective.
Well, so you can have customers anywhere you want, right? And customers, the more customers you have, the better it is. But from a customer perspective, you really just have to focus on the physical portion of your business. Where do I have offices, employees, warehouses, contractors? And then where do I have economic nexus? So let's say if you have Nexus, physical or economic nexus in only 10 states, then customers in those 10 states, you have to charge sales tax to.
Okay.
That's it, right? Outside of that, you don't have to worry about it until you hit that physical or economic threshold. But then the second layer is, hey, I know I have to collect in 10 states, but then how are the products that I'm selling taxed in those states, right? It could be clothing, it could be food, it could be software. Some states charge, some states don't, et cetera.
Right. And then those 10 states are probably soon going to become 11 and 12 and 13, et cetera, right? And I think that one of the benefits to using a solution like TaxJar is it's your responsibility, not mine as the merchant, to make sure that my e-commerce channel is collecting on that 11th, 12th, 13th state, correct?
Correct. And so the question is, how do I track that economic piece? Because you typically, hey, you know where you're going to hire somebody, but how am I going to track how many transactions or how much revenue am I going to? And that's where automation comes in, right? We can track through your multiple channels, right? You could be selling through e-commerce, marketplaces, point of sale. So how do I aggregate that data, track not only from a reporting perspective, but track my compliance in those other states outside of the 10?
Right. Yeah. And you make a great point that we hadn't even touched upon yet with marketplaces, right? Like if I'm selling on my branded channel, that's one thing. But if I'm selling my product through a marketplace, that adds a whole nother layer of complexity.
That's correct. Well, because here's the other piece to it is some states include your marketplace transactions revenue against their threshold, right? The economic threshold, and some don't. So, when I talk to CFOs, CEOs, they're like, wait a minute, how am I supposed to know that? And, either they have an internal resource that has to track that. And most of them say, okay, I'd rather, cut my finger.
Right.
Or, that's where automation comes in.
Well, Clete, I have to say, solutions like TaxJar are just a lifesaver, right? I can't even manage my calendar. So I can't imagine what it would be like if I tried to bear the burden of managing taxes, right? So thank you for everything that TaxJar does to make our lives easier.
Oh, hey, I appreciate it. I mean, that's, like I said in the beginning, we do one thing and you think about tax, but as soon as you get under the covers a little bit, it gets mind numbing. And,
right.
It's not like you can go to school to get educated on sales tax. There's no degree. It's, nobody goes into it and say, oh gosh, I just, love doing this. It's something you learn on the job.
Right. So as we wrap up this whiskey shot, is there a takeaway you'd like to leave the audience with? Something that kind of a concise nugget that will make their lives better and easier going forward as it relates to taxes?
Well, I think the nugget would be a reminder that sales tax is complex and there's a lot of moving parts, and businesses today are looking to manage compliance risk. And I think automation allows organizations to focus on what they do best and let technology help manage their risk.
I think that's a great reminder. I think there's a point of emphasis in there for us each to focus on what we do well with our businesses and leverage experts like you and the things that are difficult for us to master and would not be a good use of time.
Right, exactly.
Right. Well, Clete, thank you for making time today. Appreciate it. Appreciate the partnership with TaxJar over the years. It's been valuable and looking forward to a lot more of that going forward. And I think we'll wrap up. So thank you for making time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And everybody, thank you for tuning in to another whiskey shot. There'll be more to come. Hope to see you soon. Sláinte.